So just so you all know, this is a class about how to do customer validation. It's one of the first steps that you take when you're launching your business. But I want you guys to know that if you're stuck on any single part of this, even if you're like, I want to do something and I kind of know what I want to do, but I'm not sure, I don't even know where to start, you can always come in for a free one-on-one coaching appointment here at the Launchpad. I don't know how many of you know about our services, but please come in on as many ideas as you have. You can drop an idea, pick a new one up, pick and choose the parts of our advice that you like, leave the parts that you don't. It is truly a place to practice the opportunity of doing what you really want to do, what you really love for the rest of your life. So reason not to take service. We exist to serve you guys. So that's a little bit about what we do. That being said, if anything in this presentation sparks your curiosity, you have questions, come in for a coaching appointment. You know, we encourage everybody to come in. There's really no risk, so it's a very good place. All right, my name is Shakirra. I work here as the coordinator. Most of you have probably seen me sitting at that desk. And today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about customer validation. So first I want to talk about why should you start something? Why should you start something? So I think that we've all been conditioned to believe that in order to be happy, in order to achieve financial stability, in order to have a family, in order to have a house, all the things we're taught we should want to have, you need to go work for someone else. You need to wither away in front of a computer for 40 hours a week, doing some mind-numbing task, short selling your soul to corporate America or some other part of America or some other part of the world, doing something that you don't really love. We've all grown up with this idea. Our parents tell us hobbies are for what you really love. The weekends and nights are what you know, that's the time to do what you really love. Work is what you do so that you can live and sustain yourself and sustain when you have one. And I'm here to tell you, we're all here to tell you that's why this place exists, and that's a lie. You can do what you love, and you can have a purposeful life, even when it comes to your career. You can think about, what is it that I really love? What is it that I'm really good at? What kind of life do I want, and how can I use those two things to get me to that life? That faith is not a fantasy for you guys. It's totally within reachable means. There are lots of people doing it, and there's no reason why each and every one of you right now isn't eligible for that kind of life. You're not any dumber, you're not any less capable. You guys are awesome, and I think we've all been told lies about how we're not good enough and we don't deserve that kind of life. But you can definitely have it if you believe in it. So we believe in you. I hope that you're on the road to believing yourself, since we get that knock out of us in childhood pretty early on. So why startup? Startup is the way to achieve financial freedom. So we say that the best insurance against unemployment is self-employment. So if you're doing something that you really love on your terms, then nobody can really dictate whether or not you get fired, where your next paycheck is coming from, raises or pay cuts. It's all you. You're in charge, and you're in charge of your destiny. So I want you guys to think about in this presentation, what is it that you love? What is it that you're really good at? And what kind of life do you want? Not the kind of life that you've been told that you want, but what is it that's really important to you? Is it important to you to make money? Is it important to you to make a big social impact? Is it important to you to have adventures? Start thinking about this life, because this place, the Launchpad, is where you can build that life. So this enables you to be the greatest version of your best self. When you're in your sweet spot, as we like to say, when you're doing that thing that you really love, and you're working towards the life that you want. So one way to start thinking about, if you're not sure, you don't have an idea, you don't know which way to go, think about if you had to do one thing every single day for the rest of your life and you could not get paid, what would that thing be? What thing do you love so much that you do it every single day and not get paid? That's a good place to start. So does anybody know this meme, overly attached girlfriend? Okay, you guys are giggling, so I haven't dated myself, I hope. So this is up here for a reason. The reason is to not be overly attached to your idea. So I want you guys to be really, really stubborn about your goals, but flexible about how you achieve them. So Pam always says, startup is search, it is not execution. You are in search of a repeatable, scalable business model. So what does this mean? It means that this is a little bit different way of thinking than you're taught to think in your classes, where you have a paper or an exam and you finish those steps and you try to get it perfect or almost close to perfect. No, get rid of that idea. That's not how we do it here. You're in search of a problem that you can solve to get that life that you really want. You're not executing. It's a little bit hard because it happens in reverse. You get this really great idea and then you want to make it happen, but you have to reverse it a little bit and say, okay, what is the problem that I'm solving for my customers? You're in search of a repeatable, scalable business model so that you can build out this awesome idea and get to that life that you really want. But you're not executing an idea. That's not where you're at in the early stages of doing a startup. So like I said, you're looking for a problem that a lot of people have, but there's not really an awesome solution. There might be a less awesome solution, so you can make your solution more awesome in a different way. So that's what you should be thinking about. What's a problem that a lot of people have? And once you start looking at the world this way, you'll get ideas all the time. You'll see people in long lines and be like, I wonder if there's a hack to cure a long line. So that's a really great way of thinking about the world. When you see a really big problem, think about what's the opportunity here. And last but not least, it's not your baby. You can't get attached. We say around here that no idea survives first contact with a customer. And it's hard because you have this great idea and you're so invested in it and you think to yourself, if I work hard enough, I know people will buy this. I know I have this gut feeling that it's super awesome. There's nothing like it. But we want to get you guys to train yourself out of that way of thinking. It's going to change. Your customers will always tell you stuff that surprises you. So you got to be a little bit flexible. That's why I put overly attached to girlfriend up there. Okay, so why lean startup? There's lots of different ways to build a business, but lean startup is the cheapest, fastest way to build a business. So what you're doing is you're collecting feedback from your customer at every single turn, figuring out what their problem is so that you can build a solution they want, getting feedback on its design if you're building a product, or the way it's done if you're doing a service business. Will help you act in a more informed way so you don't feel like you're shooting in the dark. We have this story that we tell here of these people that are super invested in this product, and they know that if they build it, that people will come. And they create this product all in blue. And by the time they bring it to market, they spend a ton of money and effort. People actually wanted it in red. And if they had taken the time out of the day, 1 hour to figure out, get in front of their customers and say, hey, is this what you want? Is this what you were looking for? If their customers would have told them, no, we want it in red, they would have saved all that time and money. So Lean Startup is awesome because it helps you act in a more informed way so you don't feel like you're shooting in the dark. That means it's also uncomfortable. Every single time you get feedback from your customers, you gotta change your idea, which can make things feel chaotic, especially to train you to do step 1, step 2, step 3, make it perfect, and then show it to someone. This is exactly the opposite. You gotta get your shitty first drafts in front of people so that you can change your idea as quickly as possible to get it as close to what people want as possible. So by the time that you've invested time and money, people will buy it. They can't help but buy it. It's exactly what they want. So this is hard because we've been taught to plan, but here over-planning is counterproductive. And like I said before, there is no room for emotional attachment. So what exactly is customer validation? We throw around this phrase a lot here, but I don't think everybody completely knows what it means. Who here has heard the phrase customer validation? Okay. Who here has a really good understanding of what it means? Really? Okay. So customer validation is really just the process of getting feedback from your customer on whatever it is that you're doing or building. You're trying to understand their pain, you're trying to understand their problem before you build a solution. You're doing your best to eliminate assumptions, because even though you feel like you really understand their problems, even though you feel like you are your customer, you're exactly in your target market. Yep, what's that?
So, value proposition is sort of synonym?
No, it's different. Close though. So customer validation is the process of really understanding what the person's problem is, what's missing, and value proposition is the value of the solution that you're proposing. So customer validation should come first so that you understand what kind of value you have to bring to the customer. Does that make sense? Okay. Everybody feel free to jump in. Ask questions as we go along. So we want to keep thinking pain solution. We are inclined to think solution. My idea is awesome. My business is great. But we don't like to think about pain. Business solving. That's where we all have to start. It will allow us to build a better business, build it faster, waste less time and money. You can have seats if you like. So, like I said, reality checking your idea enables you to move fast and reduce time and money wasted. There's a lot of ways to do customer validation, but the way that I'm using the phrase today is the way that we use it most of the time around the Launchpad. It refers to having one-on-one, in-person conversations with your target market to figure out what's their problem, what's the pain that you're addressing. So what is it not? It's not a survey link that you post to your Facebook. This can be part of your validation strategy, but it's not the whole thing. It's not a sales opportunity. You can't just go out there and be like, hey, listen, I came to talk to you about my awesome product and my great idea. No, you really want to understand your customer's problem. It's not a humble brag fest about your great idea. I'm sure your ideas are great, but this is a great opportunity to understand what your customer is seeing. So why should you spend time on customer validation when you could be using that time to build your product or business or idea or service? Well, you should be spending time on it if you love time and money and success, because you will have more of it if you take the time to get feedback from your customers. The idea that if you build it, they will come is outdated and false. Think about it, guys. How many ads do you see every single day for different products and services? So many. How many times a day are you trying to be sold something? Almost every single hour of the day, you are being sold something. There's so much noise out there. There's so many products and services. So if you don't take the time to do validation, you'll take your place in the vault of the awesome, almost perfect or perfect ideas, products, businesses, and services that never made one sale. Because there are so many of them. Did you know most of the apps on the App Store never get one download? It's something to think about. That's why it's so important to do validation. So by the time that you go and put your product into the market, you know your customer so well and you know the problem that you're addressing so deeply that people can't help but buy it. So how did you get to this point where you're getting ready to do customer validation? There's a couple things that you ought to do before you do this part. Think hard about what your why is. Why do you want to do this? Do you want to make money? Do you want to make a social impact? Do you care about the problem that you're solving so badly that you want to help solve it? Do you want adventure? Do you want to meet new people? There are a lot of different reasons for wanting to start a business, build a startup, turn your idea into reality. Thinking hard about what your why is will help you make decisions later on. You also should have Google keywords relating to your idea. So say I was, for example, thinking about making a chemical that you put in your hair so that it would dry faster and you don't have to use a hair dryer. So I probably should have Googled hair dryer alternatives, chemical to make your hair dry faster, all of these kinds of things before I start. The reason why I'm saying this is sometimes when you people. You find products or services that are really similar to the one that you're building, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes you find things that surprise you, so it's a good step to take in the beginning. And these two things don't take long. Okay, so how to do customer validation. This is the homework that we send so many people out of here to do, but how do you even do it? So it should be done in person, mostly. It should be done one-on-one, mostly. It should be done with people who are actually in your target market. And it should be done with people who you don't know at all or don't know very well. The reason why you do it in person is because you get really great feedback from people one-on-one. For example, if you say to me, how big of a problem is this in your life? And I say, yeah, it's a really big problem. Then you know something is awry. I'm lying. It's not actually a big problem. And you can probe deeper. You have the opportunity to say, well, you kind of seem like you're on the fence. How often is this a really big problem in your life? So that gives you the opportunity to see what's really going on. One-on-one is good because when you're talking to a group of more than one person, oftentimes people are influenced by the opinions of their friends. I've seen it happen. I'm not saying that every single one of your conversations has to be in person or one-on-one, but in the beginning, most of them should be people in your target market. If I'm creating a product for people who love dogs, and I go to a cat exhibition, those people's opinions are going to do me no good. I can do customer validation all day long. It's not going to matter. People who you don't know or don't know very well, because your friends and family, they love you, they believe in you, and it's awesome, but they'll tell you what you want to hear. You want an objective opinion. So where? It's wherever your target hangs out, and I feel like we probably don't give this advice as much as we should here in Launchpad, that the best way to reach those people is to go show up where they hang out. So I want us all to practice. I know it's Monday afternoon, and we all wish we were still in bed, but you guys are going to participate. So, Robert,
Present.
where would I go to find people to talk to about makeup?
Beauty salon?
Yes, that's a great place to go. Tyler, where would I go to find people to talk to about my music idea?
Go downtown, go to some shows.
It's a great idea. Let's see, Nate, if I wanted to know about people who do top to studies, where can I go? There you go. What about athletic shoes? We know, it's fun for you.
I'd say like the gym or shoe stores.
Okay, great. See, it's not that hard. All right, so we talk about this, and I feel like we don't often give enough advice about how to start. Because let's be real, I'm going to say it, you're going to talk on the level, it can be really awkward, right? Going up to someone who you don't know and talking to them about this thing, and you can't tell them that you're working on the startup, because then they'll be like, what? It's a startup. And that leads to a whole different conversation. So here are my tips for how to make it a little less awkward. But you kind of got to know it's going to be a little awkward, and that's okay. And it's scary. I'm pretty extroverted, and it's still really scary for me, but you got to man or woman up and just get it done. It's really important. So here's a tip. You can approach from the side instead of head on. Makes people feel a little less intimidated. You guys all know that from the game and those other pickup. Smile and be yourself. You could say that you're working on a project for school and just want to talk to them for 5 minutes. If they seem a little hesitant, you could say, I came up to you because you look like you'd be really good at answering my questions. A little flattery can get you a long way. And if they look really wary, you can say, I promise I'm not done anything. I'm just working on a project for school. Okay, so this is the formula. Yes, go
Can I
ahead.
also say maybe go into full time restraint?
Okay, yeah, that's awesome. This is the formula for how the questions should go. The first question you ask should confirm whether or not they're in your target market. So if you're talking to a person about a dog product, you want to ask them, do you have a dog? Do you like dogs? If they say no, cut your losses and move on. Politely say thanks and move on. The rest of the questions aim to understand the pain. We'll talk more about that. So we're going to practice. This is not an idea that I came up with. This is an idea that one of my old coworkers came up with because I feel cold all the time. So he said, what if there was a bag that you could carry around like a purse that was also here? So you can see, not that I know anything about that. I actually use a heater here in the launch pad every single day, even in the summertime. And my coworkers love me for the most part, but I feel like they kind of hate me a little bit for it too. So, see, dead silence. They're not even trying to argue with me right now. All right, so I'm going to demo how not to do customer validation. Hi there, will you answer some questions for me? I'm building this great product, and I think you'll love it. Would you love to have a purse that doubles as a heater? How often would you use it? Where would you expect to purchase it? How many of your friends would you buy it for as a gift? Would you pay $200 for it?
That's right.
So, okay, there are problems with this. We talked all about the solution, and we didn't talk about the pain at all. Our questions had nothing to do with the pain. I didn't even ask, do you often feel cold? That's probably where it should have started. And we asked leading questions, so if we go back here, I use the word love. I asked them how many of their friends they wanted to buy it for as a gift. I was totally leading them to answer questions that would make it seem like I had an awesome idea. So this is one way I think you could make this a little better. It may not be the best way. There are a lot of good questions you can ask. These are mine. If you guys can think of other really great ones, please chime in and speak up so we all learn from you. My first question that determines whether or not they're in my target market is, do you feel cold when you're out and about on a regular basis? On a scale from 1 to 10, how bothersome is that coldness to your daily life? Can you describe it to me? What are you doing to solve this problem? Do you feel like that solution adequately makes you feel warm? How often do you feel so cold that you can't stand it? Have you ever used a commercial heater before? If so, where do you use your heater? Do you ever try to transport it? How much did you pay for it? How heavy is it? Do you carry a purse? Up to how much would you pay for something that would make you feel warmer? If you could wave the magic wand, what would the solution be? So what I'm trying to do, as you can see in these questions, is I'm trying to figure out how much they care. If they say, oh, this problem is like a 3 on a scale from 1 to 10 for me, I know they're not going to pay me for this solution. It's not that big of a deal. They don't care that much. And most ideas people don't care about. But if you keep going and you keep changing and you do this often enough, you'll strike it. You'll find a problem that people really care about. You just got to keep trying. I'm trying to figure out what they're using in place of my solution right now. We hear a lot of times in the Launchpad, oh, this product is like nothing that exists. There are no competitors. This is the first of its kind. Well, people are doing something in place of that right now. It may not be great, it may be really messy, but they're doing something. Like for my chemical that dries your hair really quickly, what are people doing right now? They're using hair dryers. They're air drying their hair. So you gotta keep thinking about what's the existing behavior that people are doing. So I'm asking them if they because if they've used a heater before, that means they've probably been open to using a heater in the form of a hand bag. I'm not making them incorporate a new behavior into their life. I'm asking them, do they ever move it around? Because my product, you have to move around. I'm trying to get a feel for if they already do something like this. I'm asking how heavy is it? Because I can't make mine a ton heavier than what they're using right now, right? I'm asking how much they paid for it. I'm asking if they carry a purse. If none of them carry a purse, I can't institute both a purse that warms up and pick them up. It's like nothing they've ever done. So the tips are, understand the problem. Do you notice how I did not say, would you buy my purse that's a heater? I didn't say that. I didn't ask that question. I asked open-ended questions. So if you ask an open-ended question and people start going crazy, they're like, yeah, man, I hate using my hair dryer. It's really hot. It makes me sweat. takes way too long to dry my hair. I hate that thing. It's really loud. And they just go on and on about it. That shows you there's probably an opportunity. Keep asking questions, keep digging. You might find something that you can build a business opportunity around. That's a great part about doing validation in person. For Facebook survey, you can't ask more follow-up questions, but with in-person validation, you can. So I asked them how frustrated they were because I want to get a gauge on how much do they really care about this? Is this a really big deal to them, or do they just kind of not care? So I want to ask what they're using right now to address the problem. There's no magic number of people you ought to talk to, and I know that some people can feel really discouraged when we say go talk to 20 to 25 people, but it doesn't take that long. These conversations don't take more than 5 minutes. It shouldn't really take more than 10. So you can do this in a couple hours. It's easy to do it. The first couple will feel really awkward, but then you'll get used to it. And every single time I do validation, I always learn something new. I also want to tell you guys a story. So Pam, the director of sent all of us who work in the Launchpad out to do validation, and she said talk to 20 people. And she told us that our first question should determine whether or not they're in our target market. So me and a fellow coworker, we asked the question, have you ever wanted to start a business? That was the first question we asked. And me and this coworker, we got the exact same response. 12 people said no and 8 people said yes. But then when we brought it back to Pam, she had 20 people that said yes out of 20 people. The question was, have you ever had a goal, a dream, a passion, or an idea? And most people have, right? So that's a great illustration about the way you ask the question can totally change the answer. So when you saw these questions, would you love to have a purse that doubles as a heater? I'm definitely going to get a certain kind of response from that. But if I ask, how often are you cold? That's a different answer I'm going to get. So think about the way that you word your questions. And a lot of people come in the Launchpad for appointments just to go over their questions. I would highly encourage it. We're more than happy to do that. It always helps to have a second person look at your questions. Yes?
So the main focus for this type of validation is really to discover their pains, right?
Right.
So, because when I think about the difference between those two questions, between would you buy this product, basically your idea,
right,
and then you also had the do you ever get cold,
right.
So if you made up a whole bunch of questions that were more on the scale of do you ever get cold, have you ever had an idea?
Right.
Like let's say you asked that question, have you ever had an idea? Well, yes, and all that was all you get all yeses, and your validation would be proved, and then you would go into something that you had too generic of questions for, versus with the one that says, would you ever buy this product? Then you get a yes or no, and even though it is more, you see what I'm trying to get at?
I see what you're trying to get at.
What would be some tips to making sure that you focus on, because neither one of them kind of address the pain.
Right. Absolutely. So that was our first question. We had follow-up questions in the validation we did for this place. But what I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm going to ask you another question. Are you trying to see how you get your validation to go from understanding the pain to testing the solution?
That's a great backup. That would be like my following question. Was just one confirming that this should be really just discovering the pains of the customers. That would be in the general field of your solution.
Right. Right.
So do you ever wish you could, if instead of saying the solution, you say, are you ever cold and just wish that that you could do something about it? Or
that's a great question to ask. I see no problem with that question. So
are you really just trying to discover what pains are in this area or topic of what I'm developing a solution for?
Right. But then, so you can't get more specific. You can't really get down to the actual problem.
So maybe throw that one question about would you buy a purse with a heater in it as the final question.
So you could do that. I could do that, and we generally tell people not to do that. I've seen it done. It's one of many schools of thought of doing startup. I think it's way more effective to do an MVP or a smoke test that I'll talk more about later. So if you throw up a one-page website with a picture of a person that doubles as a heater, put a buy now button on it, it's fake, you don't actually have this thing, you haven't spent any money building it, and you push it out and see how many people click that button. That to me is testing the solution.
So that's like product validation.
Right, so what we're trying to do is, the reason why I'm so hesitant to say that you should ask that question is because people can validate something with their words, which is all well and good, but it's the dollar that means more than anything when you're validating, and when they click that buy now button, that's a better analog to them giving you money for it than saying, oh yeah, I buy that. See what I'm saying? It's like the act, it's like the digital act of reaching in your pocket for your wallet. When people click a buy now button, by the way, it would convert to a page where they put their email in. That's a pretty powerful indicator of how much they care about it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So basically, a follow-up validation step would be product validation.
Right.
And that would be where you split into the two types of information you need to pull from your
Right.
customers.
And that would really, if you were to do like a one-page smoke test, what you learned from here, say that people with the product that drives their hair, they cared most about the time they were saving, then I know on that one-page landing page to write a lot about the time you're saving. Otherwise, I'd be like, what do I say? Spray for your hair can help you dry
Be
it.
able to position it to what is most
Exactly.
relevant.
And positioning is really important. That's where value proposition comes in. What value am I bringing to the customer?
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so you talk to a bunch of strangers, now what? So you want to look for patterns in their responses. You want to figure out, do people really care about this problem? Were they really passionate about it, or were they kind of humdrum about it? There are a lot of humdrum problems and a lot of humdrum solutions that never sell. Do more validation in the form of a smoke test, which is what Tyler and I were just talking about. So you could do the one-page landing page that I just talked about with that buy now button, and you could literally describe it. You could draw a picture of a fake one, or you could create a Craigslist ad talking like you actually had the product or service. Put your number on there and see how many people call you, and then apologize to them, say it's coming soon, get their email, whatever. That part is fine. You can deal with that later. But that allows you to see how many people are actually willing to take action for this. Oh, and then of course,
MVP checklist.
yeah, create an MVP. That's the minimum viable product. That is the cheapest, fastest, shitty first draft of your idea that you can build. That'll allow you to see what people's responses are to your real product or service. So what I want to do for the rest of the time is I'll take any questions that you guys have, but then I really want to take some of your guys who are willing to participate, your actual businesses, and let's crowdsource some great validation questions that you can use. But first, does anybody have questions? All right. Does anybody have the business that? Okay. Yeah. Tell us about yourself and your business. Everybody, this is John. Give John a hand of applause. That's a brave soul right there. I feel like we're on a talk show right now. We start a talk show.
Well, basically, my business is an affordable, faster, like photography business, and it'd be basically where I have a team, and the way that I'm cutting down on costs to be cheaper than a normal photographer, which would be like $100 to $300, or it's usually very expensive like that. But the way I cut down on costs is by cutting it down to 15-minute snap photography sessions. And the audience I'm targeting is well, students, but specifically I'm going to have a portion for like business students or students looking to go into the professional world, so I can get them cheaper LinkedIn, just profile pictures. And in the 15 minutes, it'd be a way that I can just provide exactly what they want, instead of them going to a photographer and paying a lot more and getting a lot of pictures that they don't need. So I'm just targeting specifically what they need. And the main purpose of my business is to help people have a better self-image for one, and then a better social brand on social media. So,
Do you guys understand his business? Do you have any questions? How much money would I save if I did that?
I mean, save a lot. If you go to some photographers, usually it's like 100, up pictures, so you can save like $7.
Okay, yes.
So the target market is majority students going into their career at the moment.
Well, that's one part of the market, and then I've gone out and asked a lot of people, and a lot of girls just want nicer pictures for Facebook, but then a lot of the guys just don't really care. They'll just look at their like phone pictures, and then I'm looking at a way to target the like dating site audience as well.
There's a question over here. Yes.
Yeah, so this is more from a photographer standpoint because I do freelance photography on the side. So as a photographer, what would the compensation be for a photographer that was working under your belt and on your team? Like in order to keep the cost down, you're gonna have to pay them substantially less than they would on their own. What's the benefit of a photographer joining your team opposed to not?
Yeah, right now, obviously, it's not going to be as great of pay as maybe a couple of $300 appointments a week. But in the future, when I can get like let's say 4 15-minute appointments in an hour, and I could be like 60 an hour. And for start-out photographers that aren't famous right now, I mean, if they're getting paid like let's say even 30 an hour, that's a good like job in college. So if I can get that, that's what I'm going for. But right now, I have to find photographers that are willing to like join the team and like I'm gonna say, hey, in the future, like I'm gonna hook you up. So like stick with me.
Good stuff. Yes.
What services would you be providing for semi-creative people that have a high-tech camera or even on their phone? I know for my LinkedIn, just out of personal experience, I just got someone with the highest iPhone at the time and the best camera, suited up, got behind a nice wall, got the picture, that's what's on there. I get compliments on it. So the need to pay $50 would be the equivalent for that type. People who are at least somewhat confident in being able to create the format. So what I guess the question then would be, as digital people, more and more people carry great cameras, how are you going to kind of, what would be the service that you provide other than just a great photo?
Well, I'd also factor in the skill of the photographer, in that, and I still think that there's a difference between camera phones and cameras, and that's one I guess part that I throw in and I use to market to people, because I think there's a big step between even camera phones and well taken pictures from photographers. So.
Okay, I want to touch on that. I think that's a really good point, and I really think that the best thing to do would just be aim for a demographic that isn't tech savvy and isn't just going to realize that I can get a really great shot with my iPhone. Because I would do the same thing.
I was going to say it was an invalid idea or to that issue, or that how would you position yourself within that reality? That was the.
Yes.
How do you stop, like, because at career fairs, you sometimes don't have a booth where you can go and get your picture taken. So how do you stop? Why do you want to go to you as opposed to get my picture on there? Because they have actual cameras and have someone set up, they'll take a picture for you, and I can use from my LinkedIn profile and my business profile.
How much do you have to pay? It's
You don't have
free.
to pay anything, it's free. I mean, if you go to the UCF group.
How often do those happen?
Once or twice a semester, but I mean, if you're committed to going through it.
There's a couple of clubs as well that have done it, but a lot of people that I've talked to haven't done that yet. So I mean,
Now, those photos, is it something like you go to CVS and get a passport photo, you just stand there and they have a little camera and take it, or do they have a real photographer with decent equipment come in and take it? Because I'm asking as far as what are these setups at and stuff.
at the
How are
group,
you
that's
At the group fairs, it's like, no, there's actual wall, there's someone on the camera, they'll put you behind there, they have like a basic light, and then they kind of take the picture, and it's like, we'll send it to your email.
Okay. So then quality, so you just post that you have better quality and then more options.
Douche.
No, I didn't hear that.
Those booths at the career fair, how much they cost
Yeah.
for free?
Yeah.
So, but they're getting paid by the university.
I don't know who's, I'm assuming someone's paying.
Yeah, somebody's paying them, so maybe you could try and get those contracts to do that.
Oh, okay.
From the university.
Yes, douche. Rude, sorry, my bad.
To do a follow-up with what he asked, you guys do location, right? So the purpose, they use services, they don't do location.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I think even for LinkedIn, a lot of the times, I mean, there's better backgrounds than a career fest. You know,
Oh, no, yeah.
You know, we've been doing just like Blake Claire backgrounds and different backgrounds around campus. That's another point is that right now we're going to be staying just on campus until, you know, we make enough money to move off and charge like gas prices to go meet people places. So.
All right, yes,
Oh, sorry.
no, go ahead.
So what you're saying is you can actually use that as a competitive edge, because if you're applying to a job and the people are near that location, they'll know that it means something to you. Is that what you're trying to say, or is it just because it's not as boring as a white background?
I like the latter, but so the first question, can you repeat that?
So it's like, so you're doing it here on UCF, right? You happen to get the arena in the background, right? And then you know that whoever you're applying to is also an alumni at UCF, so you know that would make a psychological connection without even realizing that they did. Is that kind of the goal there, or is it just?
I mean, I'd love to market like that. That's pretty specific, but I mean, yeah, I mean, some marketing might go like that.
I was here Wednesday, you were here when he presented his idea before, but you mentioned that you would market it as like, hey, we'll meet you where you want the pictures taken.
Yeah, and I've kind of asked people and gone through some changes, and in the beginning, it wasted a lot of time on the photographer's part to, you know, bike to one place, and then that's their whole hour biking to the other place to meet the other person. So what I'm doing now is kind of bunching appointments together. So if like during the week I get 10 Lake Claires, I'm gonna say, all right, we're gonna do Tuesdays and Thursdays at Lake Claire. Can you do any of these? If not, then next week I'm gonna try and punch you into Lake Claire.
I think that's a really good pivot that you need.
You should just put a studio inside of a big van.
All right, so, okay, I'm super impressed with your guys' understanding. You immediately went to his customers, competitors, you helped plus his business, so that's great. Before we wrap up though, I do want to see if we can come up with some really great validation questions for him, but first I want to start with his. So, have you done validation?
Yeah, I've gone to like
Just did.
yeah, and but yeah, we went around the union and went around the business part. Absolutely. Found out guys don't really care about the Facebook pictures. Some girls don't either.
So wait a second, take us a step back. What questions did you ask? How did you do it? Was it awkward? Who did you approach?
I mean, in the beginning it was a little awkward, but I got used to it. Questions I asked, I'd usually just ask them. Actually, sometimes when I ask them, I would just like say like, "Oh, if you don't mind, I have a question for you, real quick," and just bam, go into it. Like, and then usually, I mean, unless they're like, "No," like it works. So, but then like I'll just ask them like if they've been to a photographer before, and I start out like if they have a pain of that. Yes, I paid so much for this photographer, and I'm like, I don't say I have a solution for them, but I start asking like deeper questions, and what's the good?
Yes, but maybe like, do you take a lot of selfies? Is that what you're using for your LinkedIn?
Yeah, eventually, yeah, I've asked them about selfies and like how often they take pictures, and some girls will say like, oh, every week, like I want a Facebook profile picture. Yes, but yeah, I've definitely asked them if they've noticed a difference, like if they can see a difference between professional photography and like selfies, and if that matters to them. And a lot of people have said like, well, actually not a lot, but some people said that it just doesn't really matter to them. Like, but for LinkedIn, it's a high percentage of it. Not like it matters if it's professional, but for Facebook, a lot of people just don't care, and they'll just say, oh yeah, it's cool, have a little selfie over there. So part of what I'm doing as well is I want to educate my customers and make them see the need in having better pictures. Because so many employers look at just Facebook and get a first impression of this picture. Oh, it's a selfie with like a dirty mirror in the background or something. Like that's not a good first impression. So.
How many pictures will we get if we like
Okay. I first started out at 15 minutes, and then I had my first customer, And
You had your first customer? Guys, come on.
but yeah, I don't know. Being nice ended up taking a lot longer. So what I'm thinking of doing now is like giving a set amount of photos of like 3 different like backgrounds in that location and 5 minutes each. So it'd be 15-minute appointments still, but specifics. Because if not, they're like, they want to take pictures in multiple places and stuff. So
it's just how many you can get in that 15
yeah, it'd probably be like, well, 3 profile pictures, but there'd be like 3 practice. I don't know how to say it, but like just nine shots, I guess, and then like 3.
you pick 3.
Yeah, 3 of the best.
Now, this was back to validation, so it seems that the best thing to really do is look at people that are curious about their LinkedIn profiles and actually, want to do something with that, because that's really the only time you're going to require a photographer unless it's for a special event. Have you tried your validation over the business building? Because that really seems like the best place, because everything is based off LinkedIn. They should just be on every single day.
Yeah, not as much over there, but I started recently.
One thing I think would be good is if, let's say for some reason somehow business cards start to trend with like having a photo on there, because then you have better pixels. Maybe I don't know about photography.
Wait, so hiding my business card?
No, what you can have, your business cards can have a picture of you on it, and it would give ideas to everyone else. Like, I want that, because you can hand out business cards. It's just a name. You might not remember the face. It becomes more personal. Especially if that's the same picture that's on their LinkedIn, because now it's suggested on your business card, put your LinkedIn web address on there.
Or maybe you could offer to link up your business with, hey, I just took your photo, and if you want business cards made, I have a partner, and you get a percentage of profits if they come to get business cards from them and use your photo on the business card.
Yes, Jasmine.
You just seem limited on your supplies of things. Creating another channel of that.
That's a really good idea as far as like creating a channel goes, like discounting, like referrals, like those are all really great techniques to use. I don't know how often you guys have seen like people's faces on business cards. It's typically not something that you do, like putting your face on a business card. It was more like logo, maybe like but like faces aren't very common, so they tend to like lead people to believe certain things instead of aren't like that. So I think you want to like kind of just like do a survey on that. People consider right now.
Yeah.
And I agree with it. That's why I said if the demand started where that became a trend.
Yeah. Oh, resources.
Thanks.
Another way to get customers, man, is every semester, at the end of the semester, with business majors, we have this thing called capstone. And basically, all the business majors that are in capstone dress up in their suit and tie. So you know, like almost like when they're coming in to the business, or like you station and say, hey, like after you're done, you want to take a picture real quick for your LinkedIn. I mean, they're already dressed up. So.
You can coordinate with teachers, find out what
Yeah,
day
coordinate
people are
with teachers.
presenting.
Because I mean, there's
big
probably
business classes.
300-400 students in that class.
Yeah, because I'd pay like just to get one quick snap if I was already dressed up.
Exactly, they're already dressed up.
Yeah, they're expensive one time.
Would you guys care about the background though, like if it's just the business like building the wall?
I would just like the pop-up background mountains.
Yeah. I think we can green screen it.
I personally wouldn't care. I just the convenience, of not having to dress up and come to an appointment, just saying, hey, I'm already dressed up, and you got me while I'm
Like
dressed up.
a white wall thing, it's like 12 pounds, maybe into the yourself.
Or we could just have somebody
They don't
like
really care about the fact that
Yeah. What do you say? Let's put up on the wall, just say something good.
Yeah.
So the goal to have recurring customers or constantly get new customers?
I would say for the LinkedIn target base, it would probably be one time. But for, like I said, the Facebook audience, like some of the girls just want, profile pictures all the time. And yeah, so some of that audience want it all the time, and some like, I talk to people and they say, every 6 months or like a year. Or I've had the same picture the whole time been on Facebook. So like some people just don't care. But yeah, for maybe the dating profile audience and the Facebook audience, I'd have recurring customers. But for the LinkedIn base, I don't think so.
So where do you find the dating? I'm assuming they're all different costs.
Yeah, I mean, right now it's just like asking around, but
Post
I'm
college
gonna have to
life,
talk to some people.
real thing. You don't think it'll happen to you, but just wait.
I'll do like some speed dating things or something. I don't know.
So let's use these last few minutes to crowdsource some good validation questions. Does anybody have any?
Wait, you mean specifically to you?
Like for me to ask.
Yeah. So I have one. I would ask, who took your LinkedIn profile? Is your LinkedIn profile a selfie? How often do you change your Facebook profile picture? One question that you ask. Anybody else?
Maybe if they care that it's like professional. Like, does it matter to you if it's nice quality or if it's just a family picture?
Okay, good sense.
I'll do a scale on that though. Like, on a scale of 1 to 10,
Right.
how much does it mean to you? That's
I'm just going back to like the business plans and going to this. So like, you're actually surprised there's a lot of business kids that don't have LinkedIn profiles.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, maybe one question would probably be, do you have a LinkedIn profile?
That's a good question.
Yeah,
Do
exactly.
you want a LinkedIn profile? And why don't you?
Yes.
After you validated that they're on some type of site and see people's pictures, maybe asking them for the LinkedIn example. Can you tell when you see a professional photo and how does
Great
that
question.
like does it impact you when you see what assumptions do you include in the first minute of seeing a great LinkedIn photo? Does it come up more professional? Do you seem to trust that person more?
Is it okay to have like things to show them when you're asking? Like, could you have maybe a piece of paper that had like pictures, a few
Of the same
selfies,
person?
and a few.
Right.
Yeah, you can take the same picture of the same person with 3 different cameras and say which do you like the best.
That, of course, have a comparison of like a drunk Facebook profile picture compared to that professional LinkedIn one.
Yes.
That's great.
Hey, you could even get that market. I'll come to your party and take Here, this amount.
Can't see your own drunk face in your Facebook profile.
You're too wobbly to take your drunk selfie. But you might want to separate that from your LinkedIn picture business because that could be something.
Anybody else? Good questions you could ask? Have you ever used a photographer? How much did you pay? Related behaviors that they're already doing.
I mean, I could ask for dating sites as well, like on your dating, or do you have a profile on your dating website?
They might not want to share it.
Some people don't like that.
I feel like you should really eliminate that for our age group, because I don't think that's really an issue that many people have, especially at colleges. I've seen people walking around and go come talk to them. I think the online dating thing should not like go for the same business kind of LinkedIn stuff as different demographics. I think, because I haven't met anyone, around our age that has an online dating profile.
Everybody my age does. I'm a little older too,
So different demographic.
And I think it's the older demographic also not have like business pictures already. When they be in the company,
If you turn them over, like speaking of, I can take great LinkedIn profile pictures.
Not really. I mean, you'd have to do more validation, but like most people I know, they have nice looking pictures, but they're not necessarily professional. Even if they're professional, they've got this like really old school vibe to them. There's like that like rodent column in the back, the gray,
I still think kids are great mother. I constantly playing with my kids, and my wife is always stopping me to take pictures. She's like, wait, let me take this picture. I'm like, what? If we just had somebody there, we wouldn't have to keep stopping and taking these ridiculous pictures.
You can also go to try and do pictures at like dog parks. and
Right,
stuff.
yeah, dog park.
People love pictures of their pets.
I was just about to say, you might want to try and do a step back and see what market you make the most money in. Because you can even, let's say family reunion. We only have the family together once every 10 years, and we just want to have a good photo, but we don't want to pay someone to be here for the whole dinner and everything. Just want everyone to line up, take 3 photos, wherever the demand is the highest. Because
Where do you think I find that market?
Market research.
validation. Yes. asking people how much and
Or which was the most social to where your idea would spread? Your customers would be more prone to speak more on it. Like, so with LinkedIn, it's great because your business, oh, we just came to LinkedIn friends, where'd you get that photo at? Oh, so maybe whichever domain might share without you spend so much on marketing.
I feel like just staying with the college environments and go viral. I feel like anything with the college environment goes viral. Look at Facebook. Started in college, seeing it's huge.
Then you can set up on every campus.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's great.
last thoughts. We're gonna wrap it up in a couple. Anybody? Last thoughts?
Make sure that you protect yourself against your photographer
Oh yeah.
stealing your business.
Yeah, and I do want to help them out, like help them in their portfolio. So like I do it so that they own the photos and I own the photos.
So make sure it's an easy process to turn over your photographers. Like get the new ones in when they're like, hey, I'm done taking pictures for you, I'm ready to move on. I've got a big portfolio. Make sure you have a process to bring in new photographers quickly to replace them when they do move on from you.
That might work better with just doing the school demographic because then you have photography.
Oh yeah.
Kids you always have kids that want to get a
Yeah,
green
that
card.
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you can just do temporary contracts. You'll be an employee for a month, they won't re-decide after.
That's true.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you guys.
So if you have questions on your business, you want to get started, you don't know about a next step, you should make a free one-on-one coaching appointment. We've all signed NDAs. Like I said, come back on as many ideas as you like. You can choose the parts of our advice that you like. Leave the parts that you don't. There's no reason not to get a coaching appointment today. It sounds like an infomercial, but it's true. I'll make your appointment if you want. Bilal has something to say.
And if you guys want super quick, easy customer validation, we have pitch your idea startup idea on Wednesday. We get to pitch your idea to students and they give you customer validation, feedback, and all that stuff. So if you would like to sign up for that, see me and I'll put you in a slot. And right after we end, we have a tradition that we head to the front, we play some music, and we take an Instagram picture. We have to stand up, head to the front, and take a picture with Shakirra. I will, if I have to, I would beatbox.
Alright guys, you guys can just like crunch together as much as possible. I think you guys want to spread out and like you say as well. You guys are really close to each other. I bet we're all family close. Like either stand right.